joined now on the West Her hotline. By the way, fresh off a game involving a team that we probably also aren't talking about enough, Jacksonville. Audacy NFL insider Ross Tucker. Insider calls are brought to you by Nationwide. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side. Ross, you told us last week you were going to be at Jets-Jaguars. Holy cow. What has gotten into Jacksonville? Trevor Lawrence is like great again, or maybe for the first time great? Or is that more just the opponent? What do you think of Jacksonville, having seen them up, in person?
Well, first of all, I got a bunch of stories I could tell about a time when Cleveland was in Buffalo in 2004, if you're so inclined at some point. So that's number one. Number two, to answer the question you asked me directly, I think the Jaguars are pretty darn good. I really do. I mean, put this in perspective. In four, they've won 5 in a row. In 4 of those, Trevor Lawrence has been able to watch Nick Mullins finish the game out for the Jags. I don't care who you're playing. These are NFL teams. If your starting quarterback is able to watch the end of 4 out of 5 games with a hat on and see the backup quarterback and the backups out there, that is super, super impressive in my mind and bodes very well for the Jaguars moving forward.
This is what would be the first-round matchup for the Bills if the season were over. 3-6, Bills at Jaguars. What does Jacksonville compare with Houston for you, Ross? I think everybody seems to be saying that Houston is scary with that defense and maybe what Stroud is. I don't know. I don't hear quite the same enthusiasm about the Jaguars, but who's a tougher out?
Well, there's 2 reasons for that. Actually, 3 reasons for that. One is the Texans have played more standalone or primetime games more recently that people have watched.
That's right.
Number
Arrowhead.
2 is the Texans have the best defense in the NFL. And number 3, they have a recent track record of some postseason success with a win each of the last 2 years, whereas the Jags have just been bad the last 2 years. And so nobody really believes in them, and Stroud probably had a better year his rookie year than Lawrence has ever had. So there's a lot that goes into that. But I'm just telling you, Jags have top 5 special teams, top 5 offense right now. Their defense is probably not there, but they're good. And they have a lot of belief. And I think through the draft and free agency, they've stockpiled a lot of talent in recent years. And they finally kind of have a coach that's helping them put it all together. And this is by far the best I've seen Trevor Lawrence play. I mean, he really, really looks comfortable, which is obviously, as you guys know, the biggest part of it.
Yeah, it makes sense that the coach, maybe it looked a little bumpy when he got there, at least to start the year. I liked how it sounded and read on paper in the spring and through the summer, some of the things he was saying about his philosophies and how he was going to run that offense. And the season began, and it just wasn't as smooth as maybe a lot of folks were expecting. But they did get off. I mean, they were 4-1, then they hit a lull there, got to 4-3, but now they sit here with the same record as the Bills. And I think Mike is right. It's a team that I just generally, I'm just going to be honest, they wear teal, and I tend to just dismiss them. I don't know. I have a blind spot when it comes to the Jaguars, even though they've kind of done a pretty good job on the Bills over the years. They beat them in 2 playoff games. The different eras, but still. I don't tend to think of them the same way. Plus, Houston did such a number on the Bills earlier this year that's the team that's sort of in our kitchen, I think.
There's definitely something there about sort of the recency still of the Jags and Panthers franchises, as well as the color scheme. I think there's some healthy skepticism about the color scheme of those franchises, right or wrong. But no, I mean they're pretty darn good, man, and they're under the radar, and They feel like very much a lack of respect. That's a sneaky, huge game, them against Denver on Sunday.
Can you imagine? Sorry, Ross. Can you imagine a better way to put that about a team's uniform than healthy skepticism?
Right?
How great is that? How great! Healthy skepticism. I gotta steal that and use that in all situations. Bills down 21-0 in New England. You had a game going on at the same time there, Ross. But did you think, like, I don't know, players don't, or even ex-players tend to not think games are over in the second quarter, hopefully. But what were your thoughts during their win?
Well, I thought they would make a run and at least make it interesting. I didn't think they would just lay down. I didn't think Josh would allow them to just lay down. But to come back and win is super impressive. I mean, I didn't get to do it, but I'd love to go back and see some of the social media posts from folks when they were down 21-0. I can only imagine what those were like. People probably deleting them furiously in the second half as the Bills just took over. Super impressive. I mean, not only for the opportunity to go ahead and win the division still, and have that possibility, but I think even more so, just sort of the mentality, the psyche. That's 2 weeks in a row where they've had a massive comeback. Josh has kind of put on Superman's cape and led them, and I think that part of it bodes well for the postseason. I think the part that doesn't is getting off to these bad starts and being down 2 scores like that. That's not good. But I think most people, when you look at the AFC, it feels like Josh Allen is probably still, I don't know if by far is the right word, but pretty clearly, the best quarterback that will be in that. So especially with the way Lamar Jackson's playing right now and it not looking like the Ravens will even make the playoffs, it's a golden opportunity for Buffalo, no question.
I had one tweet from Sunday that, like if you're looking to embarrass somebody, maybe you would single it out, but I'm not embarrassed by it, which was at 14-0 or maybe even 21-0, Ross, I tweeted, wow, something like this, like, wow, Bills, way to go in there and show them who's boss. I mean, this is they're the 5-time defending division winner, and what a no-show in the first half. I mean, of course, they do come back and win, but still, like, I feel like that was fair to have so little in the way of resistance to a Patriots team that's kind of taken your throne. So it didn't end up working out for New England, which is great. It also, Bulldog wasn't in the end like that big of a game. We talked about last week because New England still has a pretty good grip on the division.
I think it does, but Ross, you sort of alluded to it there, the psyche. Like I liked it all week going into the game. And of course the game did not start like the Bills shared this sentiment. But over my dead body, you're getting your t-shirts and your hats today. That was what I wanted. And they ended up doing exactly that. I mean, they fought back like hell and won the game with that big second half. I feel like, and Mike and I argued, I don't know, we discussed it a lot last week, it's very much a feelings game because in the standings, the Bills were still going to be well over 90% to make it to the playoffs, and even with the win, are still not in any kind of great shape to win the division. They still need the help of either the Jets or the Dolphins. Now the Dolphins are talking about benching Tua. I don't know, maybe that'll be a good thing. Who knows? But
Zach Wilson.
Either way, I thought it mattered. It mattered, I think, to the psyche of the organization to not let the Patriots party with them in the visiting locker room.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting one from the Patriots' perspective because on the one hand, now some doubt has crept in for the Patriots. Like, okay, maybe we aren't the big dogs yet. Maybe it's not necessarily our division yet. And if we get to a big game, home playoff game, maybe we're not ready to beat a team like the Bills and Josh Allen. I guess the flip side of that would be, kind of something we've had when we've talked about as it relates to the Chiefs and the Bills, which is kind of like, well, would you rather lose to them in this fashion now, and if you get to the playoffs, hope that they can't do it again, as opposed to, all right, you sweep them in the regular season, and then maybe the Bills are due, third time's a charm. You can go round and round. I don't know if they play against each other in the playoffs, I don't know if what happened in either one of the regular season matchups means anything other than, the Bills will certainly believe and the Patriots will know, hey, these guys are not, even if we're up 21-0, it's not over. These guys are going to keep coming.
Ross Tucker with us on the West Her Hotline. Insider calls like this one are brought to you by Nationwide. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side. Not something that I do care about on my own, but I wonder if you might have a take on this. Mike Vrabel mentioning yesterday, the postmortem of this game, that the Bills lead the league in holding, but they didn't get busted for it in this game, like implying directly that the Bills kind of got away with some stuff in this game. From whatever perspective you might care about here, like a player on his team, I don't know if a player on the Bills would care about this. Does that do anything? Like, when I heard Vrabel say that, my first thought was he is setting up for the next game, the possible rematch with the Bills. Like, he's this big, imposing figure on the sideline. Maybe he thinks in different ways he can intimidate officials, but that's just one read here. Does it mean anything to you?
I don't know how I would feel about that unless I was actually in that situation. Because on the one hand, I would think maybe he is, trying to put that out there in case there's a rematch, and wants to make sure that becomes a storyline and is part of the narrative if they face off against each other. It was not after the game, it was the next day. It was the next morning.
Right.
Clearly, and I know Vrabel well enough to know everything he does is very intentional. So there was certainly a purpose to that. It's like so many things. I could spin it and say that he is showing his players he has their back, and defending them on some level, that they got a raw deal. I could just as easily say, what happened to no excuses? What happened to, don't let be so good that the officials, can't determine the outcome and all the things that we believe in. I really would be curious to know what his internal messaging was and if he explained his thought process on more or less calling out the officials like that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Are you ready to go on the 2004 meeting between the Bills and the Browns, which the Bills won 37-7, and you started in? Is this a story we know, Bulldog? Is something happening on the field?
I don't know.
I feel like it's vaguely familiar. What do you have on this?
Well, there's three things that are notable from the game, in my mind. The Browns had already fired, I think, Butch Davis. So I want to say Terry Rabisky was their interim head coach.
That sounds right.
And it might have been the first start for Luke McCown.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a rookie 6th-round pick or something. And let me just tell you, and they had a bunch of young offensive linemen starting, and Sam Adams and Pat Williams. Those are the wrong guys to go against for a rookie quarterback and young O-linemen. But what I remember about the game is we actually scrimmaged them at St. John Fisher during training camp. And so I had been pretty aggressive in that scrimmage. I might have speared a guy on the ground after I threw him on the ground. I remember Sam Weish, who I think is passed.
Yes.
When we went to meetings that night, Sam's like 70-something years old at this point. He comes up to me and says, my hero, because of what I had done. They come with a stunt. I threw the guy down, and then I speared him on the ground.
In a scrimmage.
Yeah, in the scrimmage. And so, needless to say, they remembered that.
Yeah. Right.
And they remembered that, and they must have shown it to him because, after the first play or two, they're pushing me after the play. And then it might have been, the last play of the series. One of the D tackles, I won't say his name, but he spit in my face. That actually happened twice that year, but he spit in my face. So we come out for the second series, and I didn't really know those guys that well. I hadn't played for Cleveland yet, but it's a TV timeout. And so they had pushed me a couple times late. They had spit in my face. So during the TV timeout, I very calmly walked over to their huddle, which doesn't happen that often. And I just said, hey, guys, I'm sick of it now. I'm going to break one of your legs on the next play. And then I walked back to the Bills huddle. And I kind of meant it. Like, I kind of meant it. So we come out for the next play then, after the TV timeout. I come up to the line of scrimmage, and Alvin McKinley, I think it was Kay Lang. That's what it was. I had played with Kennard Lang in Washington, so he knew I kind of had a switch. So we break the huddle, and Kay Lang and McKinley are like, Tuck, we're cool. It's over now, bro. It's over now. We're cool. It's over now. We're good.
Don't break my leg.
Yeah, because I think they knew, because, in a situation like that, if you say it, really calmly, I didn't go over I'm going to break one of your legs. I literally walked over there like a sales guy and was like customer service rep. Hey, guys, I hope you're having an enjoyable evening or enjoyable afternoon here in Buffalo. I'm kind of tired of it, so I'm going to break one of your legs on the next play and walk back to the huddle. So I remember that, and then we're killing them. And late in the game, I'm blocking the one guy. He makes absolutely no attempt whatsoever to make the tackle. Instead, he puts my arm in an arm bar and says, I'm going to break your mother effing arm. Mm-hmm. And I said, no, please, no, I'm sorry, no, please. And thankfully he didn't, but that's the same guy that had spit in my face earlier, and he had a screw loose. I mean, he's got to be in jail at this point if he's still alive. I have no idea, but
wow.
I needless to say, it looked like he knew how to break an arm like that, and I thought he was about to do it, and thankfully he didn't. Thankfully, I pleaded my case. So three stories: the spitting in the face, I'm going to break your legs, and then I'm going to break your mother effing arm. That was a fun day.
I was at that game and had no idea it was that interesting. Ross, safe to say you had to
watch the line. You got to watch the line play.
I need to hear the line.
Right, that's it. Right.
Ross, safe to say you had a healthy skepticism over whether this guy would actually follow through on the threat.
I know where he's from. I knew where he grew up, and I think he was really thinking about just armbar breaking my arm on the field like that.
Wow.
Which I was concerned about. I had legit concerns. Yeah. There's only a couple of times on a field where I was like, no, please, I'm sorry. And that was one of them.
The Raiders just put up 75 yards of offense against the Eagles on Sunday. In that game, the Browns mustered 26 yards of offense.
26 yards?
26 yards, -3 passing. Go find another game like that. That's what I do remember about that game is –
that's unbelievable. That
crazy.
Does not surprise me. I do not remember them moving the ball very much.
Credit to you. Thank you, Ross. We'll talk next week.
Sounds great. See you guys.
Ross Tucker.
That's our Audacy NFL insider, Ross Tucker. Insider calls are brought to you by Nationwide. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is